Well, Donald Trump is at it again, abusing his office for personal gain. This time, he has tried to use one of his ambassadors to try to tell the British government to steer business to one of his golf courses. You know, Donald Trump may very well issue across-the-board pardons after he loses in November to all of his criminal associates. But let's talk about whether those pardons will stand up in court. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So Donald Trump is at it again, caught abusing his office for personal gain, right? Using the machinery of government to enrich himself and his family and his businesses. The New York Times just reported out the latest sort of crime, corruption, abuse du jour. And here's what the New York Times article says. It says that Trump told his ambassador to Britain, a guy named Woody Johnson, owner of the New York Jets football team, told Ambassador Johnson to get the British government to steer the world-famous and lucrative British Open golf tournament to the Trump Turnberry Resort in Scotland, one of Donald Trump's golf properties. And as if that story wasn't bad enough, Ambassador Johnson's deputy, a gentleman named Louis Lukens, warned the ambassador against it. He said, you know, boss, don't do it because it really would be an unethical use of the presidency for personal gain. Well, Ambassador Johnson tried to do it anyway. And after Deputy Lukens sent the State Department some emails outing the fact that this was going on, Deputy Lukens was run out of his job. You know, it got me to thinking, how is it that Donald Trump and all of his criminal associates in government are comfortable engaging in this kind of criminal behavior, this corruption, this abuse in the harsh light of day? They don't seem to be trying to hide it. You know, it got me thinking about pardons. Are all of Donald Trump's criminal associates just ready to receive their pardons in November once Donald Trump loses the election? I mean, does Donald Trump have a whole stack of pre-printed pardons in, you know, the lower drawer of his desk ready to go? You know, will it be a regular pardon palooza after Donald Trump loses the election? Let's talk about the pardon power, and let me forecast that I don't think Donald Trump's criminal associates at the end of the day are going to have quite the protection that they think they might have. First of all, the presidential pardon power is broad indeed. There doesn't seem to be much of a limit that has ever been placed on it, either by the courts or by the text of the Constitution itself. Let me talk for a second about the Office of Legal Counsel memo, because that tells us, for better or worse, that we can't indict a sitting criminal president, right? That is the Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel opinion that it's just not a good idea to be able to indict a sitting criminal president. Of course, we have Bill Barr in place, right? The president's defense attorney. He has abdicated his responsibility as the voice of the people, and has basically been Donald Trump's protector and fixer the whole time he's been AG. So we know Bill Barr is not going to try to hold the president accountable, nor is Bill Barr going to allow for the investigation of misconduct by all of the president's men and women, if we throw Betsy DeVos and Elaine Chao in there. Bill Barr is not going to go after executive branch officials like Mike Pompeo and Mick Mulvaney and Ross and Mnuchin and DeVos and Pence, because that could actually come back to the president if those men and women were investigated. So as of right now, it seems like all of these people are sort of above the law, right? They can't be touched because Bill Barr won't let anybody touch them. So what about the pardon power? Will that help protect all of these people come January, when we have a law-abiding president and a law-enforcing attorney general, assuming Trump issues across the board pardons to them all? Will those pardons be lawful? Will they stand up in court? Well, the first question is, can a president pardon himself? I'm pleased to report the answer is no. Most of the legal scholars believe a president can't pardon himself, but more importantly, the Office of Legal Counsel itself issued a memo back during the height of the Watergate scandal in 1974. And here is a copy of that Office of Legal Counsel memo. It is titled Presidential or Legislative Pardon of the President. It's dated August 5th, 1974, and it's signed by Mary Lawton, who at the time was acting Assistant Attorney General and in the Office of Legal Counsel. And here's how the opinion begins. I'm only going to read the first sentence. It says, under the fundamental rule that no one may be a judge in his own case, the president cannot pardon himself. And then it's a brief 3-page memo that supports that conclusion. So, even though I'm not a fan of the Office of Legal Counsel generally, because they say you can't indict a sitting criminal president, which I think is wrong, they have issued an opinion that a president can't pardon himself, and I think courts would agree. So the next question becomes, can a president pardon his criminal associates, the people that he was criming with or who were criming on his behalf under the protection of the chief executive? Well, let's do a quick tutorial on the law of conspiracy, because I think that informs the question, can a president pardon his partners in crime? So conspiracy. First of all, a conspiracy is nothing more than an agreement between two or more people to commit a crime, plus one act toward the commission of that crime. We call it an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Let's use this hypothetical because it will illustrate a couple of points. Let's say that there are 3 people who agree to rob a bank. Okay, they decide to use a stolen car in the bank robbery. So one goes out and steals a car. The other 2 get in the car. One of those 2 has a gun. They go into the bank. One person goes into the vault and takes all the money. The other person, the one with the gun, gets in a scuffle with a security guard and ends up shooting and killing the security guard. The 2 bank robbers then jump in the getaway vehicle and they take off. All 3 co-conspirators are guilty of stealing the car, robbing the bank, taking the money, and murdering the security guard, even though it's only one person that actually committed each of those acts. Because the law of conspiracy says that every conspirator is responsible for, guilty of, every crime committed by every other co-conspirator, whether that conspirator actively participated in that piece of the crime or not. The theory is that when people get together and agree to do crime, there's a heightened danger to society than just one person going out and doing a crime himself or herself. So the law of conspiracy says all co-conspirators are responsible for the crimes of all other co-conspirators, provided those crimes are during the course of the conspiracy and in furtherance of the conspiracy. So I think that helps inform the question, can a president pardon a partner in crime, a co-conspirator, a criminal associate? And the answer should be no. And the answer should be no because the president himself, under the law of co-conspirator liability, is just as guilty for all those other crimes, whether or not he actively did them, participated in them. So I think you can extend the conclusion that a president can't pardon himself to a president can't pardon his criminal associates because he's equally responsible for those crimes. Here's a second, more practical reason that I think the courts would conclude that a president cannot lawfully pardon his criminal associates. Who will be the ones deciding if a presidential pardon of Bill Barr, for example, is lawful? And I say Bill Barr because remember back to when Donald Trump tried to bribe or solicit a bribe from President Zelensky, right? He said, I'm not giving you this congressional money that you're entitled to unless you do me a favor, though, and announced phony dirt on my political rival, Joe Biden. That is the crime of bribing or soliciting a bribe. What did Donald Trump say after that? Get with my man, Attorney General Bill Barr, in furtherance of this criminal scheme. In substance, that's what the president told President Zelensky. That makes Barr a co-conspirator. So let's assume that Donald Trump pardons Bill Barr. I'm sure he's one of the first ones that will be pardoned after Donald Trump loses the election. We will then, in January, with a law-abiding president and a law-enforcing attorney general, have to investigate Bill Barr's crimes in the grand jury fully, fairly, in an apolitical way. And if the grand jury decides there's enough evidence to indict Bill Barr, then he'll be indicted and he'll be brought before the judge, the court. And he will be able to say, I've been pardoned, I can't be prosecuted. Then it will be up to the courts to decide whether that pardon was lawful. Here's why the courts are almost certain to declare that an illegal pardon, a corrupt pardon, a void pardon. The Constitution, as it's presently set up, provides for 3 co-equal branches of government: judiciary, legislative, executive branch, right? If the courts were to decide that a criminal president could issue across-the-board corrupt pardons to all of the members of his cabinet who committed crimes kind of with him or on his behalf or under his protection, if the courts decided that, yeah, that's kosher, he can pardon all those people and there's nothing we, the judiciary, can do about it, well, that would be the judiciary relinquishing really all of its power to the executive branch. It would be the judiciary making itself a second-class branch of government, because the executive branch could do whatever it wants, commit all the crimes it wants, issue pardons to everybody, and the judiciary could do nothing about it. Here's a hypothetical to drive that home. If Donald Trump told a bunch of his, stormtroopers or stormtrumpers, listen, I don't like the judiciary anymore. I don't like the judges. They keep ruling against me. They won't grant my restraining orders when I try to stop people from publishing books that are critical of me. They keep striking down my executive orders as being unlawful and unconstitutional. I want you to go out and lock up all the judges. And after you do, I will pardon you for illegally taking the judges into custody. Come January, that would have to be litigated, those pardons. Do you think the judiciary is going to say, yeah, that's okay with us. Those are good pardons. Those are lawful. We'll just cool our heels in the cell. I mean, it's an extreme example, but it drives home the point that I do not believe the judiciary will make itself a second-class branch of government by saying that pardons corruptly issued to the president's partners in crime, his co-conspirators, his aiders and abettors, his accessories, are lawful pardons. They're not. And they shouldn't be deemed lawful by the courts, and I don't believe they will be. Before I sign off, folks, people I know are thinking, but Mitch McConnell has soiled the federal bench by putting all of these unqualified judges, all of these hardcore ideologues on the courts. I have another video with a 3-point plan of attack to remedy what Mitch McConnell has done to degrade and soil the federal bench, the federal courts with unqualified judges. So I don't believe that will ultimately be an impediment to justice come January. And there will be justice beginning in January. Thanks for listening, folks. Please stay safe, and I look forward to talking with you all again soon.